This is an Aston Martin Rapide. You probably think you're pretty familiar with it by now. A four-seater Aston Martin with a mighty 6-litre V12 under the bonnet. But you'd be wrong, because this is actually the Rapide E, and it's the first electric car Aston Martin has ever made. Aston Martin are preparing to launch their sister brand Lagonda as what they call the world's first luxury electric brand. But the first step on this electric journey is the Rapide E, and not only does the electric architecture make it the first non-petrol powered Aston ever, it also has more torque than any other car Gaydon produces. But you shouldn't just take our word for it. John Caress is the vehicle line director for the Rapide E, and he knows what he's talking about.
So, John, this is just a Rapide with an electric drive, right? Or is there more to it than that?
Absolutely, it's not that. So we took a Rapide AMR as a base for us in terms of performance, ride and handling. Rapide is still a sports car, so what we wanted to do was turn it up to 11 basically, and use the electrification systems on the car, which is 800 volt architecture, so it's between us and Taken right now, who will get to market first, and use that to improve the car basically in terms of performance. Much more than just putting a battery in a car. Very, very complex in terms of how you control that, how you cool it, where do you put the drivetrain, how do you package it, and yeah, it looks like a Rapide still very, very beautiful, but there's minor changes that we've made on the car to improve the range through some aerodynamics.
Okay, talk me through some of the changes that have gone on outside.
Yeah, so 4 main features really. First is the grille, so the grille looks beautiful. It's still based off Rapide AMR, but obviously the cooling requirements are different. So there's a lot more blanking. So this is 40% blanked, which meets our cooling requirements, but also improves the aerodynamic efficiencies. We have these areas at the front of the car here on the front splitter, which again, stylized, but allow air to bleed into the wheel arch. So again, improving our efficiency. And one of the things I'm quite proud about is the wheel. So we ask our engineers to make it light, make it stiff, design, make it beautiful, but now we ask both of them to work collaboratively on making it aerodynamically more efficient. And you can feel just behind where the attention to detail of where we've pocketed out. So it's a feature forged aluminium wheel, but with some extra machining on it to give us not only this beautiful finish, but also to reduce mass. And then the big element is at the back of the car, which is this great big full length diffuser that we have on the car now. And also the underside of the car is now flat. So we don't need all the holes and everything there to eject heat. We need to improve our efficiency, which we've done.
Under the bonnet, normally you'd expect to find a 6-litre V12. What's under there now?
We can show you.
Yeah.
So not what you would expect.
Oh, wow.
So wow.
What are we looking at here?
So we're looking at the front end of the battery pack, the battery module itself. So we have a 65 kilowatt hour battery, cylindrical cell, 18650 format. There's 5,874 of them. We chose that to pack that small format so we could package as many in as possible to maximize the energy capacity. There's a lot less systems at this end of the car. We utilize the existing front crash structure and the cooling pack here. And what we'll have inside here is aircon compressor and pass pump and all the other supporting systems. But we wanted to make the battery look quite technical. Yeah. It's fully encased in carbon fiber, gives us lightweight, stiff, and it uses the existing mounting strategy of the V12 car. And that extends all the way down the tunnel, keeping mass low as well.
So are we talking power to all 4 wheels or traditional Aston Martin rear-wheel drive?
Rear-wheel drive. We have 2 integral powertrain motors at the rear with an X-Track single-speed transfer. We have over 950 Newton meters, which is the highest torque of any Aston Martin ever produced, and available instantaneously. Rear-wheel drive only. 155 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds. Yeah, quite exciting.
So despite being an entirely electric car, it should retain some of that Aston Martin DNA.
Absolutely, and that was really, really key for us. It's a high performance, luxury sports car, 4 doors, 4 seats, still that flexible, usable car. And that's where we used AMR as the base, really. Like I said, we're turning it up to 11. Still keep the performance, turn that up a little bit actually in terms of performance feel, because of that torque wall that is just there all the time. So our in-gear equivalent below 100 is about the same as the DBS Superleggera. Quite entertaining to drive, very, very entertaining to drive.
A little more on that 800 volt technology. That giant box in the front of the Rapide E is made of carbon fibre and contains 5,600 lithium-ion cells. That means a charging time of around an hour with the correct charger and around 200 miles of range. Underneath, the lack of the usual gubbins that comes with an internal combustion engine has meant that the Rapide E has better aerodynamics than the petrol car. The underfloor has been redesigned and a giant diffuser now reaches most of the way under the car. Together, they increase the aero efficiency by 8%.
Inside, it looks and feels very much like the Rapide you'd expect. Is it the same?
No, there's some subtle differences. Electrification brings different challenges. So the first one being, how do you convey information now? We had this beautiful mechanical driver information centre. We've replaced that with a new Aston Martin graphics design 10-inch screen. Bespoke to us, still keeping the feel of the 2 dials, but obviously we're embedding a lot more connected car technology with the car, so it's got full Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, all those great things. But it also conveys much more information about, well, where are your charge points? How do I get there? What's my consumption? And even conveying that in a very simple manner, so it's familiar still, was a challenge. And again, that has laid a load of great foundation work for what we actually do for the future.
It's the first electric Aston Martin. Do we expect to see more electric Aston Martins, or will that just be the home of Lagonda?
For right now, performance orientated, that's what Aston Martin stands for. It paves the way and pioneers the path internally at Aston Martin Lagonda in order to do Lagonda and those projects, like I said, about capability, knowing the supply base, knowing the technology, and electrification for this wonderful piece of engineering and machinery and art. Electrification just allows other things to be benefited from. And Lagonda and Aston Martin, 2 sister brands, different in terms of their purpose and customer base particularly, but both luxurious, sports orientated, passenger transportation, the cocooning element.
What sort of timeline are we looking at in terms of from first Aston Martin, electric Aston Martin, to seeing electric Lagondas on there?
Electric Lagonda 2022. We have the concept for the saloon here that we showed in Geneva 2018, and we showed the SUV concept in Geneva this year. Very conceptual, but the knowledge that we gained from this project and what electrification can do, we worked with Miles and the team there to understand that we all needed to understand, well, what do you mean by an inverter? Where can I place this? How can I package this? And that helped inform the packaging layout of this car. And you can see how much occupant space there is on this concept.
The Rapide E may not be the beginning of a long line of electric Astons for now, but it is the genesis of an entirely new brand, as showcased by the extraordinary Lagonda Vision concept. The Vision concept showcases what electric architecture allows car companies to do: create extreme amounts of space inside a car. But it's not a complete car for now. That's a few years away. Today, Aston believe they are making strides with electric tech. Working with a company as adept with electric power as Williams is a smart move for a company with no experience in electric cars or big battery technology. If the Lagonda Vision concept and the Rapide E are anything to go by, it's a pretty exciting future. Now we just need to get used to an Aston without that screaming V12.